なお、ニップリング夫人をエスコートされておられますのは、ご子息のドクター・ロナルド・ニップリングさんです。
ただいまから第11回日本国際賞の授与式を挙行いたします。本日は天皇皇后両陛下のご臨席をいただきまして誠に光栄でございます。日本国際賞は科学技術において独創的飛躍的な成果を上げ、科学技術の進歩に大きく寄与し、人類の幸福と世界の平和に著しく貢献したと認められる科学者に与えられるものであります。この賞につきまして、かねてよりご支援を賜りましたご列席の皆様に厚く御礼申し上げます。ありがとうございました。次に審査委員長として審査結果をご報告申し上げます。第11回の日本国際賞は平成5年に受賞の対象となる分野を決定いたしまして、平成6年に受賞者を選考いたしました。今回の日本国際賞の受賞対象分野は、材料プロセス技術と環境保全重視の農林水産科学技術の2分野であります。材料プロセス分野では、化合物半導体の物理的原理の洞察とプロセス技術に基づく創造的業績を通じての発光ダイオードおよびレーザーなど、オプトエレクトロニクスにおける基礎研究並びに実用化に対する顕著な貢献によって、ホロニャック博士が選ばれました。それでは、ホロニャック博士をご紹介いたします。後ほど、審査経過をご紹介申し上げます。環境保全重視の農林水産科学技術分野において、日本国際賞を受賞されるニプリング博士をご紹介いたします。受賞の理由は、後ほど審査を担当されました 原田部会長からご紹介申し上げる予定になっております。どうもご清聴ありがとうございました。
ポロニャック博士は1959年から化合物半導体の研究に着手し、化合物半導体の興味ある電子物性を明らかにするとともに、化合物半導体の結晶成長プロセス技術の先駆的方法を次々と開発されました。1960年以降、自ら開発された化合物半導体プロセス技術によって、ガリウム、ヒ素、リンという半導体をもとに P 型半導体と N 型半導体の接合から目に見える、すなわち可視光の発光現象を徹底的に研究し、現在実用化されている発光ダイオードの最初の発明者になられました。1976年以降、量子物理学鉄場から量子緯度という新しい構造を考え出し、1978年、それをもとに初めて高性能な室温連続発信の量子緯度構造レーザーの開発に成功されたのであります。この量子緯度の概念は、現在、オプトエレクトロニクスのみならず、量子効果デバイスへと発展しつつあります。
When I left Japan in 1957, I did not dream that one day I would return to receive a great honor, a great prize reflecting so much credit on me and my wife, on my teacher, the great scientist John Bardeen, on the University of Illinois and my students, and on my many colleagues worldwide engaged in semiconductor research. I still can hardly believe it, even after having had many weeks to get used to the idea. It is not possible to state how grateful I am to their majesties, the Emperor and Empress, the Prime Minister and members of Japan's government, Dr. Masami Ito and Professor Jiro Kondo, and the Science and Technology Foundation of Japan, the Selection Committee, and the Japanese people for this great honor, which I am very happy to receive. Almost 40 years ago, I was introduced by John Bardeen to Dr. George Hatayama and Dr. Makoto Kikuchi, and to the scientific community of Japan working on semiconductor materials and devices. My only regret on this occasion is the absence of John Bardeen and George Hatayama, both of whom helped make the world a better place. As privileged as I feel in receiving this great honor, I feel equally privileged to have been part of the international community that made obsolete the vacuum tube and introduced a totally new electronics, something wondrous in scale and function, a new form of electronics based in its inception on Bardeen's and Bratton's transistor. I want to thank all of the groups and individuals, including my wife, who have helped me so much in 40-plus years to learn and work in such an exciting and rewarding field as semiconductor electronics. I hope my work has helped shed a little light in a few dark corners.
それでは、環境保全重視の農林水産科学技術分野における受賞者、エドワード・フレッド・ニップリング博士への贈賞理由を述べさせていただきます。受賞対象業績は、不妊虫胞子等による害虫相互防除技術の開発に関する先駆的業績でございます。同博士は家畜や農作物の害虫防除に関して環境保全を重視した創造的かつ先駆的防除理論を提案され、それを長年にわたる努力で実証され、食料生産の安定に 大きな貢献をされてこられました。同博士は特に1950年代に米国南西部で猛威を振るい、畜産業に大きな損害を与えていた牛や羊に寄生する螺旋ウジバエの防除のために、不妊虫防止法、ステライル・インセクト・リリーズ・メソッドという全く新しい害虫防除法を発案し、米国、メキシコにおいて、この螺旋ウジバエの防除に画期的な成功を収められました。この方法は、人工的に大量増殖させたハエのさなぎに放射線を照射して不妊化し、野生のハエを上回る数の不妊化したハエを反復して野外に放せば、不妊化虫と交尾した個体が産卵しても、その卵は全く孵化しないという原理に基づいております。同博士はこのように独創的な害虫相互防除法を開発し、農業上深刻な被害をもたらしていた害虫問題を根本的解決に導くとともに、一貫して環境に悪影響を及ぼさない害虫管理体系の確立を目指し、国際的に理論、実践の両面において指導的な役割を果たしてこられました。
Your Majesties, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, and distinguished guests. It is not possible to adequately express my appreciation for the great honor that I have received. I wish to thank the directors of the Science and Technology Foundation, the selection committee, those who nominated me for the 1995 Japan Prize, and I wish to thank Mr. Harada for the wonderful introduction he gave for me. It is especially gratifying to receive an award that was established to foster peace and prosperity for all of humankind. I wish to thank the hundreds of my colleagues with whom I consulted over the years for information relevant to my work. I sincerely hope they too will feel honored today. It is difficult for me to fully grasp what the Japan Prize will mean for me, for my family, for my associates, and for agriculture. I do wish to say, however, that I value very highly the prestige that is inherent in such prize. There is still much to be done to resolve pest problems in an environmentally safe and economically sound manner. With the expanding world population, more and more food will have to be produced on a diminishing agricultural lands. Preventing damage by insect pests can make an important contribution towards meeting this requirement. It is my earnest hope that the prestige associated with this prize will encourage other scientists worldwide to adequately investigate and exploit the pest suppression principles and mechanisms that were identified as a result of the investigations for which I am now being honored. Mr. Chairman, I accept this prestigious award with a mixture of gratitude, pride, and humility. Again, my thanks to you, all of you, who made this great award possible. Thank you.
ポロニャク博士のご研究は、家庭電化製品に広く使用されている発光ダイオードやコンパクトディスクプレイヤーに利用されている半導体レーザーの開発など多岐にわたっており、人々の生活を豊かにすることに大きな役割を果たしてきました。また、ニプリング博士のご研究の中の大きな業績としては、不妊虫防止法の確立が挙げられます。私もかつて沖縄県訪問の折、ウリミバエの不妊虫防止法を見ましたが、この方法により2年前、沖縄県からついにウリミバエを根絶することができたことは、沖縄県の農業に著しく寄与するものでありました。今日、科学技術は世界の多くの、またさまざまな分野の人々の協力により、国境を越えて目覚ましく進んでおりますが、日本国際賞がその進行にさらに資することを願い、式典に寄せる言葉といたします。
科学技術は社会経済発展の原動力であり、今日の人類の偉大な文明はこれにより築かれたと言っても過言ではありません。人類が21世紀に向けてさらに発展していくためには、人間性と調和の取れた一層高度な科学技術に挑戦し、これを創出していかなければなりません。国土も狭く、資源も乏しい我が国が今日の繁栄を築くことができましたのも、科学技術の進歩によるところが極めて大きいと考えます。そして我が国の科学技術は、諸外国から貴重な享受を受け、進歩してきたのであります。世界は今、東西冷戦構造に収縮が打たれ、新しい平和の秩序を構築する時代が始まりました。その中で、我が国はその経済力、技術力などを積極的に活用し、世界の繁栄と発展に貢献していかなければなりません。私は国政に携わる者の一人として、優れた科学技術を人類共通の財産として、さらに進歩発展させるための国際的な努力に対し、積極的な支援をしていくつもりでございます。本日、栄えある日本国際賞を受賞されましたポロニャク博士、ニプリング博士の輝かしいご功績は、科学技術の進歩に貢献するのみならず、広く人類社会の福祉に寄与するものであります。
そして受賞者が入場されます。
The laureates.
本席は天皇皇后両陛下のご臨席をいただき、原参議院議長、草場最高裁判所長官はじめ各国の大使、日本の各界各層を代表する指導的な方々が多数、この第11回日本国際賞記念祝宴においでくださいましたことを厚く御礼申し上げます。
では、ただいまから祝宴に移らせていただきます。どうぞごゆっくりご歓談おくつろぎいただきたいと思います。
ここに、牌を上げて、ホロニャク、ニプリング、両博士の受賞をお祝いし、また両博士のご健勝とご多幸をお祈りしたいと思います。
Let us raise the glass to congratulate Dr. Holoniak and Dr. Nippling for receiving the Japan Prize, and let us pray together for their continued success and health.
天皇皇后両陛下ご臨席のもと、各界各層の多数の方々のお集まりの中で、日本国際賞を受賞されました両博士のお祝いの宴が盛大に開催されますことを心からお喜び申し上げます。両博士は人類の繁栄と平和のため、科学技術の分野で顕著な功績を挙げられたのでございまして、両博士の長年にわたる研究生活を陰に陽に支えてこられました礼夫人に対し、深く敬意を表する次第であります。礼夫人の内助の功をたたえ、立法、行政、司法の三権を代表いたしまして、心からの敬意と祝意を込めまして、皆様と共に杯をあげたいと存じます。乾杯。
若輩の私が諸先輩いらっしゃいますところで、このような機会をいただきましたことを大変光栄にも存じますし、またお許しをいただきたいと存じます。この度は天皇皇后両陛下ご臨席のもとに、無事第11回の日本国際賞の授与式が終了いたしましたことを大変喜ばしく存じております。この度受賞なさいました両博士ご夫妻様のご健康とご多幸、そして本日ご出席遊ばせていらっしゃいます皆様のご健康を記念いたしまして杯をあげたいと思います。乾杯。Congratulations.
Our congratulations to distinguished recipients of the Japan Prize, Dr. Nick Holoniak and Dr. Edward Knepling. Our congratulations to the ladies, to their families, and to their nation for their outstanding contribution and dedication for the cause of humanity. Our best wishes for their success in their future work, and our sincere hope that mankind will benefit from their ever-enduring pursuit and tireless search for knowledge.
Your Majesties, distinguished guests, on behalf of President Clinton and the American people, I'm honored to have this opportunity to convey my personal congratulations to tonight's awardees. The world today is more interdependent than ever. The scientific challenges we face are increasingly global in nature. America and Japan, as the two largest economies in the world, have a special responsibility to lead global cooperation in solving our common scientific and human problems. Thus, I am particularly pleased that we are joined here tonight to honor the outstanding contribution of Dr. Holoniak and Dr. Knepling. Japan's recognition of their excellence brings great joy to us all. Thank you.
Your Majesties, Honorable Prime Minister and members of Japan's government, foreign dignitaries, Dr. Masami Ito and Professor Jiro Kando, and the Science and Technology Foundation of Japan, the Selection Committee, honored guests. It has been a great pleasure and honor for me and my wife to be here at this magnificent ceremony to receive the Japan Prize and to enjoy the hospitality of a nation that is itself so proficient and such a leader in my own field of work. Because of the tricks that life plays on us, I did not think I would ever see Japan again, not to mention to receive an unbelievable prize at such a grand ceremony. My wife and I are deeply grateful to you for your graciousness and generosity, and for this opportunity to visit with old friends and to make new friends. The grandeur of this occasion is beyond belief. It is unforgettable. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Distinguished guest, and Mr. Chairman, permit me to again commend the Japanese people for establishing a prize that has the purpose of fostering peace and prosperity for all the world's people. I am deeply grateful to the Science and Technology Foundation and to those who made it possible for me to receive such a prestigious award. This evening, without doubt, will be one of the most memorable occasions my family and I will ever experience. My thanks to all of you from the very depth of my heart. Thank you.
そして受賞者の方々のご退場でございます。
The laureates will also leave the hall.
今日は日本国際賞1995年、第11回の受賞者のお二人のホロニャック先生、ニプリング先生、このお二人の先生をお招きしまして、記念講演会を催すことにいたしましたところ、大勢ご出席いただきまして、主催者として誠に光栄に存じます。で、日本国際賞は科学技術の面で非常に優れた業績を挙げられ、かつそのご業績が人類の平和と繁栄に貢献するという趣旨で、ただいま本年まで第11回でございますが、10回の昨年までに10回の受賞を催してまいりました。で、どういうふうにして決めるかといいますと、まず最初にどういう分野を選ぶか。これは科学技術って言っても非常に広いものですから、その中のどういう分野を選ぶかということを最初に決めます。それからその分野を専攻するにふさわしい選考委員の先生方をお願いいたしまして、本年はそれぞれの分野に約5名ずつ計11名の方にお願いをして厳正な審査を行いました。
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry for the interruption. Gomen nasai. After the discovery of the transistor by Bardeen and Bratton, December 16, 1947, and Bardeen's identification of minority carrier injection, and this picture should be as famous as maybe Einstein's picture, because if the transistor went away for 1 hour, I guarantee you everything stops. Everything stops. Anyhow, after Bardeen's work, it became essentially inevitable that the semiconductor would be studied intensely and would serve as the basis for an entirely new form of electronics. In fact, the wondrous electronics, including integrated circuits and computers now all around us, marking in a sense the beginning of it all, the origin of it all, Figure 2, this figure, shows the first portable transistor circuit. Incidentally, there's a point contact transistor here and a point contact transistor here. This box still exists. These transistors still work. There's some damage in this. As far as I know, there were 3 of these made, Bardeen told me. This is a 40-year-old transistor where diffusion has been used to make the crystal, and everything is built on the top of the crystal. And I will have a little bit more to say about this. This is in a primitive state because I made this picture and hand-lettered it by hand something like 40 years ago. The kind of crystal it was made from is this little crystal right here. These are today's kinds of crystals. they're grown. This is what integrated circuits are made out of in power devices. And this is the kind of crystal I'm talking about of 40 years ago that was used. And what I also want to show is that maybe 2 years later, Kikuchi-san and I are discussing this crystal, this transistor. Kikuchi-san has it in his hands here. And on the back of the picture, I had written, because I had sent this home to Kei-san, I wrote, Kikuchi and I are discussing a silicon transistor, November 12, 1956. So if he and I wonder, when did that happen? That's the date. And here I'm showing you another version simply to show a little bit closer. Now we're a little bit older. Here's what all has happened, and my whole story to you is that not only have we gotten fantastic electronics out of first the transistor beginning with germanium, but then going to silicon, and then that producing integrated circuits and all the wonderful electronics, including the kind of electronics that we're using today in here. It also led us to the concepts that were used to build light emitters, lasers, and the kinds of things that we use in optoelectronics. And of course, it's taken some time, but it has been worth doing and it's been fun doing. Now, I didn't bring any more slides and I don't want to dwell on. My concluding statements are these. This material that I'm talking about, these light emitting materials, because of the human eye and where it is and the kind of things that can be done, these are remarkable developments. After over 30 years, the direct gap 3,5 alloy has prevailed. From direct gap 3,5 alloy in 1962 to direct gap 3,5 alloy in 1955. And in addition, the LED, because of its better performance than an incandescent, has become a lamp. It's becoming more and more a lamp. The lighting industry, whether it is appreciated or not, has been put under long-range threat. I understand the lighting industry is around the world is 80 or 90 or 100 billion dollars. I won't live long enough to see them get very nervous, but they should be nervous because in the long range there's going to be a lot of work and they are going to be put under threat because some of this is going to vanish. That's a prediction. This technology is more than just a display technology, it's a lamp technology.
The continuing public concern over the environmental hazards associated with the use of broad-spectrum insecticides is prompting agriculturists and environmentalists to make a renewed effort to develop insect management techniques and strategies that will avoid or minimize these hazards. This is a very broad subject that involves a number of insect control methods. However, my discussion will largely focus on the sterile insect and parasite release techniques when they are used alone or when they are integrated. How this pest causes its damage to its animals. This picture shows a fly depositing about 300 eggs on the edge of a wound of its host. But this next picture shows more clearly the type of damage it does to animals. This shows a steer or a cow that was attacked, and a little closer picture, which is somewhat gruesome. But it shows you just how these larvae, from eggs maybe of a dozen or more of flies, will affect the animal. If this animal was not found, it's certain that it would be killed by this pest. The question I'm asked most frequently is how I first conceived the idea of using sterile insects. I conceived the idea largely because of two factors. One, the pest is very susceptible to cold weather, and each winter the flies decline to low numbers, greatly reducing their range of distribution. And two, researchers had developed ways to colonize the pest on artificial media. These two factors, more than any other, gave rise to the idea that it might be feasible to rear enough of the insects to exceed the natural population when they existed at low levels. I reasoned that if the reared insects could be made sterile or modified genetically so that they could transmit lethal factors to their progeny, this might be a feasible way to deal with the pest. Society's major concern today seems to be focused on the environmental hazards created by insecticides. The efficiency of agricultural production seems to be of secondary importance. The time will come, however, within the next few decades, when production of the food needed by the expanding world population on diminishing agricultural lands will become humankind's major problem. The parasite and sterile insect techniques will not only avoid environmental hazards, it will prevent the reduction in yields that insects now cause. Moreover, based on the effectiveness of sterile insects and parasites in numerical terms, and the probable cost of rearing the insects by mass rearing procedures, I estimate that the cost of rigidly managing most of the pests, there are good candidates for total population management, are not likely to exceed 10% of the losses the pests cause under current management practices. I see no biological, technical, or social barriers that would preclude attainment of the objective. The only requirement is that society provide our scientists with the resources to fully develop and exploit these biological systems of insect pest management, and I'm confident that they can accomplish the objectives. Thank you very much.
So please go in.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah. I gave my paper in the Michigan conference. He was the chairman.
Prize last night from by the existence of temperament press.
They actually, Bardeen and Bratton experiment with in the actual first injection, bipolar transistor.
Junction laser by the blue background. That's a beautiful picture. Do you remember yourself?
And we're not ready to have anybody talk about that. So I was told not to talk about it. That's why. I mean, it had nothing to do with Kikuchi-san and me. It had none. It was Bell Labs lawyers told me I did not have the freedom to talk about that, and so I merely, that's my employer, and I understood that, and so that part I hid.
Why they can foresee that silicon will be a future material.
Now, those crystals that we had then, tapes about back at the beginning, back to 1947, before the transistor, you knew that if you shine light on a semiconductor, you increased electron hole pairs. If you...
But you honor me by being present for this occasion, a continuing honor. This technique will not work, or it will not achieve the objectives that we have unless we expose the total population to this sterile insect. Population management concept, and that's the cotton boll weevil. We're not using this sterility technique in this case. We tried it, we developed, did a lot of research on it, but the boll weevil in this case is so sensitive to radiation. And it wasn't until the program was undertaken on sufficiently large scale to exceed the normal flight range that progress was made towards eliminating it in Mexico. There's one question in connection with your melon fly work. How many generations does a melon fly have on Okinawa?
At the time when we completely eradicated the melon fly from the western part of Okinawa, the generation is about 70. 今80だろ。チェンジしたのだ。約80前後。80 generations.
How many?
80.
80.
80.
80 generations to get to elimination. One of the problems I noticed are people that are carrying on these sterility programs like the mayfly and